I will now ask Mr. Gafton to give us the perspective of an oil and gas producer in terms of building the energy market, in terms of competition, in terms of good prices, in terms of having access to both infrastructure and to good quality merchandise.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm the only representative of an upstream oil and gas company in this conference. So to start, I want to pick up on an idea that was already mentioned by Victor Grigorescu of how important it is for Romania to attract private investment, in our case, US private investment in the upstream, in the energy sector and upstream oil and gas in particular. And because I'm the only representative of an upstream oil and gas company, I would like to tell you a few things about Amromco, just to see where I'm coming from when I'm expanding on what we think should be done in Romania to increase efficiency and to still develop the upstream oil and gas sector. So Amromco, it's an independent upstream oil and gas company operating only in Romania, and we are financed by two major US investment funds. We are the third producer of oil and gas. It sounds grand, but we are the third producer in Romania after Romgaz and Petrom. We operate 30 oil and gas fields in Romania, and we are specialized in redeveloping and increasing production from mature brown, as we call it, oil and gas fields, which is very much the case of Romania, where most of the fields, if not all the fields that produce at the moment, are mature. We are producing in Romania for 12 years, and we managed to, in this time, to increase production significantly from the fields we operate. And I give an example. In an association that we have with Romgaz, where we operate 11 oil and gas fields, we managed to increase in over 10 years the production from these fields 10 times compared with the initial estimate of how these fields could produce. So we proved that it can be done. It can be done by private companies. It can be done with private investment. And obviously, we're looking at expanding our business in Romania and acquiring more oil and gas fields. Coming back to the current context and where Romania stands and what Romania should do to continue to maintain its production and to eventually increase its oil and gas production. We don't have to forget that even if the hydrocarbon consumption stays as it is in the EU, the hydrocarbon reserves to annual consumption rate stands at 3. So basically, if EU won't import any more oil and gas, the reserves they have will only last for 3 years. And while in the world, hydrocarbon consumption continues to increase in Asia, for example, China in particular, and the US, mostly due to geopolitical reasons and instability in some parts of the world, like Middle East and North Africa. Some of the export routes are changing. We see now export of Russian gas to China. We see, like has been mentioned here, European countries being supplied through LNG terminals. And most probably this will lead, despite the fact that some analysts don't envisage it that way or don't predict that, but we'll most probably see an increase in the oil and gas price in the future, especially for Europe. And also, while renewable energy will continue to replace oil and gas, which we all know, and this is the trend, but to ensure competitiveness and sustain economic growth in Europe and in Romania, Same as everywhere else, Romania will have to continue to secure oil and gas supplies in sufficient quantities and within a certain price range. And here is where it's extremely important that Romania takes advantage of the fact that it's still the fourth place in Europe in terms of oil and gas reserves, if we exclude the CIS countries, and will continue to implement policies that will attract investment, leading to stabilization, even reduction or even elimination of the steep decline that we're witnessing at the moment for the oil and gas production, and with the aim of increasing the reserves to annual consumption rates. So it is extremely important, and Romania does take some steps in this direction. We hope that they will continue, and the new law on the taxation of petroleum operations and mining operations will take that into account, will take into account the fact that, as I said, most of the Romanian production is from mature fields, from small fields that require ever more increasing investment, investment that you can't attract very easily because it's not very attractive. I have to say, it's not like a new area where you develop and you obtain, high margins very quickly. In Romania, you have to invest long term, you have to invest significantly, and obviously the profit margins are not as big. So the new law has to take that into account and encourage investment in the mature oil and gas fields, in the small oil and gas fields. And I'm referring mostly to the royalties that I know that they will be differentiated function of, and they were differentiated function of the size of the fields, but probably that should be reviewed again and make sure that in case of the small and medium-sized fields, which is the vast majority in Romania, the royalties will be very, very competitive, I would say, not to say very small or even eliminated in some cases. We also supporting, like any other private investor, the liberalization of the gas market. I think it's very important that the gas market will be fully liberalized, and it's encouraging to see that we're talking about integration with the other European countries and interconnection, of course. I don't know if you were, but this year will be probably first year in history, I would say, when it's still the year still to end, and we will see the balance at the end of the year. But it seems that it will be the first year when Romania production will be higher than consumption. So it will be an overproduction situation in Romania, and that's mainly because of the sharp decrease in consumption. What that does, it obviously affects the upstream industry and affects investment long term. So these are my ideas. Thank you.